Overwatch 2 PvE missions. When could the Overwatch 2 PvE release date be? Overwatch 2 PvE will be released in 2023, as confirmed by Blizzard when they revealed the PvP in full. While Overwatch 2 itself is now out, the PvE mode is being developed largely separately but will tie into the PvP progression and unlocks. As such, it is clear that if the full game was to be held back until the PvE was ready to be released, you wouldn't be playing Overwatch 2 right now. We don't have a proper release date for the PvE content in Overwatch 2, and it is pretty hard to pinpoint when it will actually release. But, we don't think you will have to wait a full year and expect it to release before the fall of next year, as we have already seen a lot of the mode. This mode will feature tons of missions for you to play with characters from across the hero roster. So, you will be able to expand who you play as, unlock rewards, and learn entire new playstyles. While you're waiting for the Overwatch 2 PvE release date, why not find out all the Overwatch 2 maps? Or, you can get a deep dive into the Battle Pass you can unlock in multiplayer, or learn about all the new heroes which have been added to the game so far. Cooperative player versus environment are supposed to be coming to Overwatch 2 sometime in 2023. It appears that what was originally the main draw for Overwatch 2 has lost priority to rebalancing and freshening up the main competitive PvP multiplayer experience. Overwatch 1 players that tried out the Co-op Archives events missions over the years will be familiar with the PvE format that these missions appear to be based on. 4 players take control of a set team of heroes and navigate their way through the mission, completing objectives and defeating enemies. It's no single-player campaign, but definitely seems like the closest Overwatch 2 will get to a PvE story mode. Back in 2019, we saw a sample mission featuring Reinhardt, Tracer, Lucio, and Mei fighting through Rio de Janeiro against the forces of Null Sector. The mission even had its own animated cutscene and showed off some hero ability customization options that allow you to level up and enhance your heroes the more you play as them. Since it's nearing 3 years since we saw that PvE preview, and not much has been mentioned since, we have no idea if any of these features still exist, so hopefully more gets announced soon. When is Overwatch 2 set? The story of Overwatch 2 is set after Winston recalled Overwatch and centers on the Second Omnic Uprising and explores who its major players are. As such, you can expect to face Null Sector and Talon baddies along the way. Overwatch 2 story mission gameplay. If you're familiar with the Archives co-op missions that were introduced for certain Overwatch 1 events, then Overwatch 2's PvE offering should be quite similar. Each story mission pits a squad of 4 players against AI threats, with the selection of heroes specified by the objective itself. Because of the set team comp, you can expect dedicated voice lines and a story to unfold during the gameplay itself. To make it more like a dedicated story mode, Blizzard has said that every mission will also have a pre- and post-game cinematics to more fully immerse players in the mode. Take a look at the story mission gameplay below to see how a standard level unfolds. What's immediately noticeable is that while the level is familiar, the story mission version is packed full of contextual quips, cinematic events, and scripted destruction that makes it seem like a bespoke environment. What are Overwatch 2 hero missions? These are more simplified versions of story missions, without as much of a narrative pull. Instead, the aim is for players to complete these in order to level up their heroes and unlock new Overwatch 2 talents. You can pick a number of difficulty options for each hero mission, and the objectives appear to be a mashup of AI enemies from the story missions and PvE-focused twists on PvP game modes. Blizzard is aiming to have hundreds of these so that PvE doesn't feel like a repetitive grind. To keep things fresh, hero missions will be set across any and all multiplayer maps in the game, and some maps will even include new playable spaces, such as an Eberly and Sons brewery yard on Kings Row. Weather effects have also been added to certain missions to make them feel more alive and to introduce new factors like weather that obscures the player's vision. How does Overwatch 2 PvE combat differ? As you progress through PvE content, you can unlock talents and skills for your chosen heroes. Again, these are remixed versions of each hero's traditional skills, which should breathe some new life into some well-known PvP skill sets, while also being much more effective against the bigger crowds of enemies you encounter in PvE. Some variations we've seen include Mei turning into an ice ball and flattening enemies, and Soldier, 70x's biotic field being turned into a healing force field that knocks back any enemies it comes into contact with. An example skill tree for Reinhardt, which was shown in February 2021, revealed 3 separate branches for Crusader, Juggernaut, and Guardian, and in each section, you can see nearly 20 different skills, many of which contain multiple stages.